Test. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. My name is Vanessa Calanta. I'm a curator here at the Triton, and we have a very special presentation for you this afternoon. We have an artist talk with visual artist Hana Lock. So hers is all the wonderful work in the rotunda here. Hana entered our statewide exhibition and competition last year, and she was picked by our juror, Kung Win, as the best in show. And that actually comes with a wonderful prize. You get your own solo exhibition in the museum the following year. So Hana did definitely not disappoint, and you can just see all her wonderful works around us here. So we are delighted to have her this afternoon. If you are here for anything other than the talk, you are welcome to stay, wander around the museum, but we ask that you please be quiet during this presentation. And afterwards, I know Hana has some prints to sell, and she'll be hanging around for a while if anyone has any questions. But without further ado, I'll go ahead and hand it over to her.
Right. Oh, there we go. Hi everyone, I'm Hana. Thank you all so much for coming to my artist talk today. I'm really honored to be here, and I'm really grateful for Triton for showcasing my work and, setting up this talk for me. So my work is about nature, really, life, death, and decay. That's my main theme. I'm really fascinated by, the circle of life, essentially. We are born, we live, we die, we return to the earth, and just like that over and over and over. And I am fascinated by that sense of eternity and just the beauty of it all. But I'm also interested in anatomy, human and animal, bones, muscle, organs, tissue, skin, all of it. I love it. I love to, even the gross aspects of it, I find beauty in the grotesque, and that's what I want to capture in my work. And as you can see, it's not strictly scientific. There's a lot of imaginative elements in my art as well. I grew up with a lot of, Japanese Buddhism, folklore, woodblock prints, and that sort of just naturally bled into my work. And I sort of ended up combining scientific elements with mythological and folklore. So I'm just going to go all the way back to the beginning. So that's me and my little brother. I always liked drawing as a kid. It was just something that was always there. I didn't really think too deeply about it. I always had my printer paper and Crayola markers. As a kid, I liked to draw cute animals, cartoons. Went through a whole penguin phase, which is where this came from. I think I was like 7 or 8. So that's how it was for the first, decade or so of my life. And then when I was 14, this exhibit happened at the California Academy of Sciences. It was the Skulls exhibit in 2014, so I was 14 at the time. And it was basically a whole exhibition dedicated to skulls. There were like 600 plus skulls of all sorts of species, humans too. In the back, you can see a whole wall of sea lion skulls. And, my parents took me to this exhibition, and I was just amazed. Something clicked in my brain. I didn't want to draw penguins as much anymore. I wanted to draw bones. So these are just some photos I found on the internet of that exhibition. You can see there's like all sorts of skulls. And I just really wanted to draw them. This is what I wanted to draw for the rest of my life, and so far that's what's been happening. They had this little booth for kids. They gave them paper. There was a bear skull, and they had kids sketch that. Managed to dig this out, but this basically started this whole thing. So art was not less of a hobby and now more like a lifetime commitment for me, and I really wanted to pursue art as a career at this point. So these are from high school, but I started to do more technical sketches. The one on the right is a dead bird I found in front of our porch, and I did a bunch of studies of that. I really regret not saving that skeleton. It disappeared one day, and I still think about it. But so I did a lot of studies of anatomy. The sketch on the left is from the Tech Museum. They have a Body Worlds exhibit there. It opened in 2017. I was there on opening day. But it's just a whole collection of preserved cadavers. They use some sort of process to make them like statues, and it's a very great way to see anatomy and all the muscles. So I spent a lot of time there working on anatomy. These are from like my senior year of high school. I started to do more imaginative things. You can see where folklore started to come in. The one on the left, I started to use ballpoint pen and started taping pieces of paper together. It's kind of funny. So it was senior year. I was, you know, I did my college apps. I'm done. And I wanted to draw really big pieces. So I started taping pieces of paper together, fold them up, and put them under my binder during class to work on them. So I could make big pieces and not get caught. Never got in trouble for it. It was great. Then I started working with watercolor. You can see like sort of the Buddhist elements in the middle one, and then my whole idea about death and decay in the right. So, this was high school, and then I went to college at San Jose State University, got my BFA in pictorial arts, which is like drawing and painting, graduated in 2022, and I just continue to do this sort of idea all throughout. And these are what started this whole exhibition here. So these are just some of my visual inspirations. The one on the left is a Buddhist statue. You can see elements of like the jewelry and ornament, as well as the expressions in my current work. The two on the right are Japanese woodblock prints. I'm really drawn to the world of print. Strong line work, very intricate, flat colors, but you can still see the texture of the paper is what I really go for. The one in the middle is pretty contemporary. It's from like the early 1900s, while the one on the right is like late 1800s. But these are like sort of my Japanese influences. And these are sort of the Western influences of my work. On the left is like a really ornate cabinet, and I use that sort of, floral ornaments in my work. The one in the middle is Art Nouveau, which is a huge inspiration for me, especially Alphonse Mucha, which is the artist of this piece in the middle. I'm really drawn to the whiplash lines that they have, and the sort of curved compositions, which is what I use, and bright colors, strong line work, a lot of floral patterns. And the one on the right is a medical illustration. For a lot of the anatomical elements of my work, I use these sort of vintage medical illustrations because they are really intricate, really informative, but also they are works of art in of itself. They are like etchings and lithographs that people hand painted and have a whole collection of. I also use wax medical models from like this 18th century. They're really gnarly, so I didn't include them in here. They're a little disturbing. Use medical textbooks, photos of cadavers, and that's how I do all these anatomical things. So onto the process. These are my workhorses. I love Bic pens. The cheaper, the better. Honestly, the crappier the pen, the better it works. Because with expensive ballpoint pens, the ink comes out like really dark, and you can't really do a lot of shading with it. But with these pens, you can get a range of value like a pencil, but it's permanent like a pen, which is what I like. And the one at the top is not Bic. It's Knockball by Platinum, and it's a really thin pen, and it's what I use for the sketchbook pieces back there. But just love ballpoint pen. I love it. Cheaper the better, easy to find. I don't care if I lose them. I use sketchbooks. That's really a huge part of my process. These are my sketchbooks from this year. I'm working on the one on the right still, but I keep it with me. They're only like 5 by 8, and I get through them pretty fast because most of my sketchbook pages look like this. It's just a playground. It doesn't matter how good or bad it is, just puke everything onto the page. If I want to draw cute bunnies, that's what I'm going to do. If I want to test a new pen out, I'll do that. Sometimes I'll just layer drawings on top of each other. It doesn't matter as much as if it looks good or not. It's just I need to keep my hand moving. But on occasion, I'll get some good pages out. A really good study, and sometimes I do make like a full-fledged piece, which is what I have back there. I also do, all these sketches that end up in my final pieces over here. So the harpy is in that piece back there, amalgamation. And then this one on the right is turned into dyad, which is by that column back there. So the sketchbook is a great way to, develop new ideas and just keep your hand moving, even if you don't have a lot of time. It's just a way to keep things going. These are just some studies that I did, I love going to museums, zoos, aquariums, anything with animals, alive or dead. And I just sit there and do sketches. That's a dead squirrel I found in a parking lot. Love to do that too. Just anything with animals, people, I'll just draw it any chance I get. So this is the oldest piece I have here. I did this in 2020, so right at the, about 6 months into pandemic. I was in school, it was summer break, I was super bored, and I just started to make more and more paintings. I wanted to try something new with this piece. You can see how vibrant the colors are, and this is where I started using red in a lot of my works. So red is my favorite color, if you haven't noticed. For one, it stands out a lot, but it also has all these connotations and symbolism imbued in it. In Asian culture, it can mean good luck, but in the West, it can mean blood, death, passion, love. It has all these connotations, and it's what I love. And started using frogs a lot as well. You'll find at least one frog in most of my paintings. I just love frogs, and I think it adds a level of playfulness to my work. It's just fun to find, a little Easter egg that invites you to just sit and look at my work. This piece is back here. It's the biggest piece I've ever done, and it was really a breakthrough piece for me. I think it was around senior year of my college. I wanted to make larger pieces, and I realized if I can just keep taping pieces of paper together, I can make it go bigger and bigger and bigger. And I didn't really plan this piece. I just started with this face in the middle and just thought, what if I added 6 arms? What if I added 3 heads? And just kept going and going. And originally it was that middle section, but then I revisited it a few months later, and I was like, I can make it bigger. And that's what I did. So you can see this is just a process photo of that, which I think is pretty neat. This piece over here is also the biggest watercolor piece I've done. It's made up of like 30 panels, 8 by 10. I glued paper onto wooden panels, which is a great way for me to work because since it's glued down, it doesn't warp when I put water on it. For this piece, it was pretty free form as well. I started with that sketch on the left, and then I just jumped straight into the final piece. I used red checking pencil to just outline everything, and I just colored it. You can see me, I'm working on the floor. I have a tablecloth out. It was not really fun to work on. I was bent over. It was a little uncomfortable, but it worked out. Sometimes I do plan out my pieces. I do a really intricate underdrawing on sketch paper, and then I would use a light desk to transfer it onto watercolor paper, outline it in dip pen, and then paint it with watercolor and ink and some acrylic. This piece was also pretty free form. You can still see some of the pencil lines underneath, but I just try to keep it as loose and vague as possible, just enough to see the proportions and the flow of everything, but everything else is like spontaneous and I like to work really free form just because then the result is really unexpected. I feel like it feels less stiff and more exciting to do, honestly. What's the point in art if it's not fun? This piece is also free form. I used blue Bic pens this time. I just started on the face there on the left and just started expanding and expanding. I added another panel and then just painted it. This piece is my most recent piece. It's in the back, and I worked in little sections with this piece. On the left, I'm at a cafe. I took 4 panels and just worked on it there. So I had it in all these sections, and then at the end, I taped them all together and stuck them on a board. And the nice thing about working like this is if I don't like a section, I just flip the paper over and work on the back. So I don't have to start over or anything. It's a really easy way to work, less nerve-wracking too. And that's all I have for the process. What's next for me? Good question. I do want to keep working on art, work bigger. I want to go really big, work on prints as well. Since so much of my work is inspired by printmaking, I want to incorporate that into my work. More colors, more realism, just see where things go. And thank you.